real question is whether you can make a signature bridge out of that 1 1/4 mile long elevated highway that goes through the middle of the river under alternate 4B. I've not talked to many engineers who see opportunities there. Brownie showed you a shot that might have some. I think that in terms of signature bridges, if we wanted to do a signature bridge, we probably have a better opportunity with that single crossing where it'd be much more distinct. And once again, that's open to debate. There are some signature bridges that are signature to those people who drive across it. So as traffic goes across, you can see icons and you can see improvements along the bridge itself for the driver, as opposed to the person who sees the bridge from a distance. So there's more than one alternate to consider.
Being an engineering firm, who I think everybody who's been involved in this process is very impressed with what they've done around the country and with their involvement here. You know, the images that we see right now of what 4B looks like is in essence a placeholder for where the alignment would be. And they basically said, we don't want to insert our ideas into that yet for what that bridge could be, because everywhere we've done this, it's not just us coming in with what we think is a cool idea. We want, designing these bridges is very much based on the community's input about what kind of bridge they want. Are there pedestrian opportunities, or is it a bridge where it's not so much for the pedestrian, it's going to be, you know, for vehicles, but, you know, there's still interesting opportunities. So they basically said, if we're going to pursue that, then we're going to come back in and get public input on what people would like to see out of that bridge.
Relative to businesses, yes, there's going to be a variety of businesses that will be impacted, but I can't tell you right now exactly what the impact is between all of the traffic go down. The traffic will, there'll be changes in traffic patterns, obviously. It's one of the things that we've talked to the folks at Westgate. They get improvement on 3 points in, but not an improvement on 1 point in. So those are all things that can be looked at as we move down the line.
You made the comment about it's not Burton Street, it's Fayetteville. But Burton Street is Fayetteville because the majority of the homes in the Burton Street community are on Fayetteville Street. That includes my home, which is off of Fayetteville. And our church is there. So it's, when you say it won't impact Burton Street, Fayetteville, Burton Street is just the way to get into the West Asheville community. And it certainly, in fact, impacts us. And we do pay taxes. We may be a small community, but we're an important black community. And I'm here just to see what's going on for the people who are there in my community, because it will impact us tremendously, even though you say it's not Burton Street. It's that whole community there.
Right, and I just wanted to acknowledge the difference, because people have used Burton Street and the Burton Street community interchangeably. And Burton Street itself, as a street, is impacted by the A section. Fayetteville Street, which is part of the Burton Street community, is impacted by alternates 3 and 4B. I will tell you again that we've asked the state to take a close look at modifications in the area, and they've told us it looks very promising.
Are you willing to sit down and the board and hear more input and see if we can come to some unified recommendation, one recommendation from the community? That's
I would be delighted to look at a unified recommendation.
And I would just say that, you know, because the City Council did endorse an alternative, and we still have some time as a community to talk about this stuff. You know, there's not going to be a final decision made until later. You know, 2009 will be the important year where decisions get made about this project. But we have some time to do this. There's room to work on each of these alternatives. I think as long as we're looking at these goals, you know, I think when the City Council, even though the language says we do endorse 4B, I think what we really were saying is, hey, you know, the community's put huge work into this, and there's a lot of great ideas here. We really want this to be in the environmental impact statement, so it can be considered side by side with the other alternatives. I think that was our main intent there, and I think that we can, and we see that there are things about each of these alternatives that we think can be made better. So I think we should all try to remain open. I hope the board of the chamber will listen to the design center. You know, we could be faulted for taking a position sooner than we needed to, but you know, we did do it in an open meeting where anybody who had an opinion could come in and say, hey, here's our take on it. But I think it's very important to continue not dig into a position, but look at what is the best outcome, you know, for the community once all the facts are in, including the traffic projections.
As far as I know, it's 8 lanes. That's the recommendation was made, and the planning is progressing on 8 lanes.
I would share that, you know, that's been a point that's been obviously debated in the community, and you know, I think the Design Center folks decided to focus on questions other than just how many lanes. And that's not an unimportant question, it's probably a very important question. But there's so many other design questions that are maybe even more important, they focused on that, and I think that was a good strategy. You know, the DOT's traffic projections on this project have come down over and over and over again. We're about to get the most updated information about this whole area in the near future. My guess is they're going to come down again. The rationale for 8 lanes is based on how many cars are expected to be on that facility in the year 2030. And if those numbers and projections come down significantly, it could create opportunities to tighten the footprint of the project, which could make getting 4B back under Patton Avenue much easier and less costly, and could and potentially otherwise reduce the footprint of the project as it goes through West Asheville. I agree with Rick. The DOT's current plans are for 8 lanes. So that's where we're at.